I met a gypsy.
Where are you at with your body now? Like, are you,
Shit.
I mean, obviously it's up to shit, but how much are you looking into like new treatments and like stem cells and all that kind of, like, are you going after that side of things, or are you going to kind of wait till you stop breaking it?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like our family, East Coast based, it's like, even we had one of my cousins, like he lost a scholarship because he got caught smoking weed. And for my family, like even that, like it's odd because they all drink. So whatever. My wife's from California, like a bunch of hippies, all those druggies, but it's not like, it's an interesting thing.
Coffee's a drug, guys.
Yeah, no,
Coffee's a drug.
no, but that's, I mean, that's kind of like,
it's that East Coast, like old school mentality. Like that's a real thing that I don't think a lot of people consider when you look from the outside in.
Especially not California and not like the
blue states.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's call them blue states.
Blue states. So we're Maryland's Maryland's a blue state, but yeah. Anyway, so they that's the most northern southern state. Anyway, that's off the subject.
I know what you said.
So at the end of the day, like the doctors that I know, the family, the way that I was raised is like, look, if you work hard, if like everything that you do, like my dad, they're like, oh, he's got a fused wrist, a fused thumb. And they're like, oh, you can't ride. He's like, bullshit. You just get everything else stronger around it. So same thing. My uncle played quarterback for Broncos, knees, back, shoulders, everything is messed up. But he goes, you just physically, you keep working, you keep stretching, you keep, my dad, they're like, oh, your knee will never, you'll never bend. He's got full motion in it.
Yeah.
You break up the scar tissue, you keep working at stuff. And their mentality on the East Coast is completely, look, your body will heal itself if you just work at it.
Yeah.
And basically the hammer technique. So I've always gone off the hammer technique, and there's a lot of guys, especially Australia and really the skate world in general, that they're working at stem cell and a lot of the different stuff to help regrow tissue and do different stuff, and it just hasn't hit the East Coast yet. And all the doctors because
you used to do a ton of stuff in Panama, right?
Yeah, but again, so my doctors at home are like, look, if you have a cancer or anything else, this is regrowing
that stuff too.
It's regrowing everything. I said, look, just if you do it right. And I haven't been to that point, but it's been a really cool thing. And sorry for interrupting you there, but
no.
Working with a lot of the military guys, and it's been awesome because my dad, being a Marine, we'd always go, even when we couldn't afford it, he'd sponsor one dinner for all the vets that came through, because DC is where all the wounded warriors come in, and just to kind of help give back a little bit there, and always bring the guys out, all the guys that are injured or amputees or anything, and they come out and they ride four-wheelers and razors or just watch, depending on what their level of recovery is. And through that, we've found a lot of lifelong friends. My best friend growing up ended up being a Navy SEAL, and just this whole military kind of influence, being from Annapolis, Maryland, where the Naval Academy is, and all that. There's just so much that's right there. They have a lot of the same mentality. So long story long, got talking, and they have basically a boot campaign. Is this organization that helps wounded vets come back, and they started working on head injuries and all this other stuff, and because they're giving up so much money to the government, and this could be for good or for bad, but they're like, everyone's just claiming PTSD. So let's diagnose it, let's figure it out. And they let Nitro Circus be the first non-military on board with this. It was basically 20 times more powerful than any MRI. And 3 of us went through, and no CTE for any of us of the 3.
Yep.
That went through this, didn't have, no long-term brain stuff as of yet, explained top to bottom, the protocols and why they're in place and why it changes. And anyway, gave us a lot of information about that, but also they said, look, of everyone that we've gone through so far, they're like, your heads are all fine, but so they do 6 tests, physical tests, just mobility tests. Yeah. And they said, these tests will tell us how well you're going to go into your later life. Yeah. And I failed 4 of the 6 tests. I aced one of them though. So
what was the one you got?
I have flexibility forward, so I can touch my toes. They're not hard tests.
So that'll be good when it comes time to change your nappies.
Yeah. So I mean, just basically do a squat. How far can your knee go over your So I'm just fused in so many ways. So they said, okay, so I'm gonna go this year and I'm gonna spend 1 month at the Virginia basically high intensity training facility where they use, and they said most of the guys that come back with PTSD, it is trauma, but a lot of them, their whole life has revolved around sports and doing stuff and being with this tight-knit family, which was Nitro Circus, and action sports fits right in. And then you get hurt, like guys like Jim DeChamp, just hit his head and his back's fused and he can't do what he loves. So he's working construction. Nothing wrong with construction, but
when you come from that, it's the full army thing though, because it's like what we said, like those friendships that you have, that you create, they're like forged in fire. Like there's no 5-minute friends on the Nitro tour. Like the guys that you roll with are like guys that have seen you in the fucking trenches, man. Like you said, the foam pit stuff, the injury stuff, like 8 months before you can walk again. Like there's
a respect that you gain from anyone that's on a team, a sports team, someone that, there's a respect that you gain or lose in there that you can't gain by working equipment. You're not going to take a bullet for your buddy on, in construction. And it's just different. So they said most of the guys that have PTSD and the long-term issues are just people that are, it's not to say that it's not a real thing, because it definitely
they're
is.
Just like struggling to adapt to
then now they have a lost leg, or their legs are fused, or their shoulders don't work, or whatever. And they said, if we can get these guys back training, they said some guys it takes 3 months, some guys it takes 3 weeks. They want me there for a month. They go, look, you're obviously not missing a limb, but we can get you walking normal. Because I can't walk with my kids now. If they're like, hey, let's go, walk the park, my knees swell up. Like I can't walk or run. Like I can bicycle fine, so I'll be on with them or whatever. But I still have one that's on a strider, so we kind of have to push her most of the way. But like I want to be able to do these things in the future. And they said, look, if you got about 10 years that your body's still going to kind of recover if you work at it. But if you work at it, they're like, we can get you walking, or we can get you doing this, and that's going to help your head, and that's going to help your long-term CTE and all this stuff. Because when you stop doing physical activity, that's when your brain really starts shutting down. So it's kind of that East Coast mentality again, and that's a military mentality, but you can physically work yourself into where your body works better.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.